I present Josh Lavelle.
Hi. Does everyone have a handout? Start out with, I am going to try and follow that and do my best because, man, I feel like I have a ton to share with you today. Stuff that you're probably not used to hearing and something that is really important to me and in my experience of working with athletes and non-athletes, though everyone is an athlete, of all types. Okay, so I'm going to try and stay on track. If I don't, please stop me. I have given you way more than I may even say. I'll try and give details on everything. But really, I just want you to have a basic understanding of how important I feel this message is today. Okay? So, first of all, we all know bicycles are fantastic. You're talking to a person who absolutely loves bikes. For pure fun and for health and fitness, they're unbelievable. But at the end of today's discussion, I want you to understand, though, that you have to actually be fit enough to ride your bike. That it is a sport, it's not a game, and that getting up there and just sitting on your bike and pedaling is not an answer to health and fitness by any means. So, some form of strength training. Now, you're talking to a person who never spent a minute in a gym, and who doesn't want to go into a gym and think dumbbells are, but some form of strength training as a teacher of posture and alignment, at the very least, and as a strengthener of your body's tissues and structures is vital toward everything that we're doing, okay? So that's going to be most of my message today. This is a program oriented about cycle injuries and things to that effect, so I kind of want you to understand that in most of my experience, a lot of these non-accident related injuries are pretty much your own fault, okay? So it's something that you're doing that you could be not doing. So my goal is to get you conscious about your activity. That's what I'm here to do today, is to get you to think about what you're doing and not just to zone out. So we'll start, and then we'll come all the way back around, all right? I'm going to make a few little circles here. But we're just going to start with an example of an exercise that I'm going to use to illustrate a pretty typical misalignment in the knee that results in a lot of knee injuries and pain that I see clients coming to me for. I don't know how many people here have knee pain or have had knee pain and are dealing with it. One of the most important things we want to think about is the alignment of your knee. So we're going to use an exercise called the box step up. Pretty much everyone has to walk upstairs. So a box step up is something that we all do in our daily lives. Not only that, but if you look at the pedal stroke, taking the pedal from top to bottom, it biodynamically is very similar in movement to a box step up. Okay? So just as a basic quick example here to begin, I'm going to show my knee. Yeah, my wonderful. Now this leg, my right leg is a lot harder for me. I have wonderful bicycle injuries, ankle injuries and things that I've done, tearing myself apart while tumbling around on the ground on a bicycle. I'm sure some of you have done that as well. The idea is this. This femur here is a massive, massive lever, a massive arm, massive weight. As this femur moves left and right, my knee comes with it. You see that? My knee is not controlling my femur. My femur is controlling my knee. My ass is controlling my femur. So what we want to look at when I come up here is, where is my knee loading? Is my knee loading off into space? This way or this way? Or is my knee loading directly above my foot where it belongs? Here's my base of support. And if you'll watch, and you can do this on your own later, if my knee comes in, my foot flattens. If my knee goes out, my arch pulls right back up and I fall off my foot to the outside. So what I see most people do when they come to do a typical box step up is this. Where was my knee? All right. Now, you want to talk about a femur driving into the medial aspect of your knee. You want to talk about tearing tissue and having pain. Let's get on the bike and do that a couple of thousand times in a short ride. All right? A box step up is about using your body to control where your knee is in and out. Okay? It's not everywhere. It's somewhere. And look, I can't do it for you. No doctor has a taped contraption that's going to hold your knee from bailing under the load of your body when you're doing a box step or pedaling your bicycle. This is your responsibility. Okay? It's really not that hard. It just takes a little practice, sometimes a little training. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because now we're going to come all the way back around, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am for a second. I'm a lifelong cyclist. I started out in BMX. I hurt myself in every way possible, and I've ridden almost every bike out there scepter recumbent right now just because that lowness starts to freak me out. Big things like that. But I have been involved in cycling my whole life. I spent a long time as a custom bike fitter, as a mechanic, designing custom bikes and selling custom serratas for trying to get athletes out of back pain and out of injury. And what I learned over time is the problem wasn't necessarily with the bike, though your bike should fit well. But I could fit people perfectly on bikes. They could spend a lot of money, and they'd still ride down the road in terrible posture. And that's going to hurt. So what I learned is we were all designed to stand up here straight, but we don't just do that anyway. So just because I got your bike in perfect posture and perfect alignment, now the next step is you, the engine, and the responsibility of how you're going to hold yourself up on the bike. So right now I practice as a C.H.E.K practitioner. I own the Body Tailor with my lovely wife and partner, Carrie. And our main job is to work with individuals through an order of health priority toward helping them achieve goals. Because let me tell you, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but your muscles are last on the list. You got to breathe first. Your organs are so much higher on that priority list than your muscles. They're going to stop the body every time. So I look more at the liver than I do about the shoulder. Because I know, you have a heart attack, left shoulder pain. And what about that right shoulder injury? It's another giant organ in there that's filtering all the crap we're pouring down the system, right? So we work through an order of priorities, and movement is, in a sense, I don't want to say last because it's vital to life, but it's part of the picture, right? So we look at 4 different pillars of health, which is movement, thought, nourishment, and rest, because to improve any one, you have to look at all 4. Again, they're all your responsibility. These are the things that nobody can do for you. You're the one who eats breakfast. You're the one who goes to sleep on time. And you're the one who knows whether you think life is worth living or not. Right? Right. Not me. I love it here. This lecture, however, is going to focus on movement. It's a very mechanical lecture. We're just going to talk about movement. I will try to talk as little about sleep, breakfast, and intention as I possibly can, but it's sometimes very hard for me. You can't just mindlessly move around. My main message is you should be conscious of movement. Movement is a sport itself. I'm standing up here. If I stopped working to stand up here, I'd hit the ground and fall in a puddle. Movement is work. Okay? So getting on a bike, doing anything, you want to actually be conscious of what you're doing and how you're moving. Repetitive movements, like cycling, if you're unconscious, means repetitive mistakes. Lots of them. And joints and tissues, they don't like that. So just grinding around, turning the pedals, is not necessarily making your knees, hip, and ankle happy. It's not necessarily making your back happy, your neck happy. So you got to think movement is absolutely vital. How you move is very important. You also have to have room to move in your life. Meaning a 40-hour work day where you're running around all day, then you run home and think banging out a 2-hour bike ride and then getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, no, please. Rest might be the most important one in that situation, right? But at the same time, right, the couch and the PlayStation for 3 weeks in a row is going to kill you, right? Because movement is life. So we need to move. And in fact, a lot of the reasons why we have these kind of breakdowns in movements that I see is the modern man, modern society here, we don't move. We didn't start moving. I mean, they sat us down from nursery school on. I mean, gym was like a period. And then we sit, right? So these are the problems. Movement has been void from our lives for a long time, so I'm trying to remind you, you might have to put it back in, consciously, just a little bit. So my primary message here is that you are at the center of everything you do, and that the attention and love that you put in will determine the results, right? That's it. You put it in, it's coming back out. So I may be the first one reminding you that you have to be attentive to your posture on the bicycle. I don't know. But now that you know, it's your fault if you're not. How's that? My father always used to tell me, once you know, now it's in your hands. It's your responsibility. So I'm the wake-up call. Hold yourself up. We're going to ride strong, okay? So any exercise, as I'm saying, anything you do, is not automatically going to make you healthy. It's how you're doing it. Your physiology while riding the bicycle determines everything about whether you're gaining health or sacrificing it. So let's just think for a second about the 3 points of contact on the bike. You've got your hands, you've got your feet, you've got your seat, right? That's it. That's all that's contacting the bike. How many people here complain about a numb crotch, a numb butt, tired, that bass hurts, it's too unkind, I need more pads in my pants, I put air in my seat for God's sake. Okay? You're falling on the seat. Wrists sore, hurting, you're falling onto the seat. Feet numb, tingling, all this stuff, you are weighting heavy. You are allowing gravity to win. Okay? You have to hold yourself up on the bicycle. It's not actually that hard, and we're going to talk about it a little bit because it is 100% your responsibility to add the tension. So we talked a little bit about repetitive movements, and thinking about the fact that on that bicycle, if you're doing these repetitive movements in really improper form, you're putting a lot of load through the joints in the body, through the tissues in the body. Beyond that, there's also long, postural, just static holds on the bicycle. Whether you're an endurance rider, whether you're riding for power and speed, while your legs are turning around, your whole back and arms, everything else is in a static, idle position, right? So you've got a couple of things going on. Some parts of your body have to hold for long periods. And let me tell you, sitting here like this in really bad posture, tell me how long it's going to take for my back and neck to hurt. You know? So if I don't know, without going into it, I mean, one of the greatest ways to blow a disc in your back is open up that space to push the disc back right into the nerves. Right there, that flexion in the spine, that's a guarantee to cause disc pain, back pain. Beyond that, neck is in such a bad position, most people's low back pain is actually stemming from the neck here, where without getting into it, the fibers in the spinal cord that affect the lumbar spine are the outermost. So you chinch that neck up like this riding, you'll be complaining about low back pain all day. But it's not hard to change this to this. That's what we're going to talk about. This, look, I didn't lose any frontal area. Nothing changed. I look like an athlete. I look like a victim. It's simple. Right? And that's what I see. And after spending thousands of dollars on bicycles and fits, I still see victims. And I say, please, come down, let's work on your deadlift. Really. I don't lay on I'm the last guy in the gym, but really, let's work on your deadlift. There's also, just to give you some of the ideas in the spine about that posture, just to understand the way the brain works is you put yourself in a big posture like this super flexion, your brain is actually shutting off signal to your spinal erectors. It is turning off the muscles in your back to protect the spine from your erectors contracting in a situation like that because you're in such a flexed position, you could actually hurt yourself. So your brain turns off those muscles when there's overflexion. So now you're hanging from ligaments. And ligaments stretch. You sit there for a couple of hours, it's going to take about 30 minutes to an hour at minimum for your ligaments to come back to actually helping you out. So you get off your bike, you're doing great, you pick up your kid, you can't figure out why your back hurts. Or you pick up your bike, and you can't figure out why you just blew out your back. Because you had nothing. You spent the entire time stretching it out, moving disc toward the back, putting your muscles to sleep, and now you thought you were doing something healthy. I have news for you. You were close. It could have been very healthy. It just needs a little consciousness. We'll talk quickly. Posture. I talk a lot about posture because it all begins with you. The riding begins with how you hold yourself up there. Both statically, how you're holding that line, how you're holding your body, and dynamically, how you're turning your knees and hips. How you're allowing your body to align the strength you're putting in. Okay, so we're looking at both a static and dynamic project here in cycling. You have both to do. Your job here in the body is to provide both stability and mobility for this bicycle, okay? So the frame is stable. It better be. The hubs are locked into the wheel. That all helps, right? There's some sense of stability on that bicycle for you. But now you're the engine. And you sit up there and no one bolts you in. You get your clipless pedals. Yeah, you click right in. That's about your only bolting point. Everything, you've got to stabilize yourself up there. You're responsible for providing the stability. Now, stability is vital, okay? For any mobility, right? The old saying is you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. Okay? It's really, you try it. You take that cannon and put it on dry ground and that ball's going to fly, right? I give the example, it's the same thing. Many of you have had the experience cycling with clipless pedals versus toe clips. As soon as you get a little more stability, you have a lot more access to your bicycle.